And we are live.
Oh,
how fun is this new setup?
I'm just lighting my candle.
Yes, I got mine too. People, smells people, aroma people, egg people.
Yes.
Okay, so, go. We're live.
So, hi, everybody. We should be live where, Raquel? In the village and some
we
other...
are live in several places. So as you guys see this new setup that we're doing here, and we're just opening the conversation, and we're going to have a series of this. That's at least what I'm hoping for. So it's going live on the village, on Free Your Body Facebook group, on our regular pages, I think. And I don't know, maybe somewhere else. If you start a watch party, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so if you guys know how to do that, you should just be able to select on the post and share it into your places so that this watch party can get out to like as many people as possible. But I mean, Raquel, you and I are just the kind of people to jump right in. So let's let everyone know what they're here for, right? So as we've been talking, we've realized that, you know, you're in Italy. I'm here in the States. We're both working with all kinds of different people, mostly women. And we're finding that across the board, everyone right now is uncertain about something in their life. So whether it's their relationship, their career, their relationship with themselves, with their body, all of this COVID stuff, like everything's just really up in the air right now. And we've found that there are two things that all of us do to try to either avoid or escape or pretend that this stuff is just not happening. And through our work, we found that we're much more the kind of people who are, you know, let's run into it, let's address it, let's actually take ownership and responsibility over our lives and what we're doing. And I think that that's where our work connects, because we're not the kind of people to just say, well, if it's meant to be, it'll find a way, or let's just give it a minute, or this is what I deserve right now, or the whole world's going through it, so it's okay, right?
Yeah,
and we'll talk about these two things, toxic positivity and toxic norms, where, you know, really addressing like what those are, how we all do it, how it applies to everything in our life, and then a couple of things that will help you move past that, right?
Absolutely. Like, I think it all started with a conversation. First of all, hi guys. I'm so excited to be here, and we just wanted to jump in because all that we hear all day by working with women especially is this idea that we are either trying to be positive. You have to be positive. You have to say a bunch of affirmation. You have to stay positive. Do your best to just keep your heads up, or I'm getting depressed, I'm drinking myself to sleep, which is okay being both. First of all, it's okay being both. We are human. There's not such a thing as not being okay to feel those experiences. But one of the biggest problems that we have culturally is that we live in a society that doesn't encourage us to use the tools we have, which is our body, our connection with our body, our connection with our physical presence, as a way so that we can continue despite acknowledging our emotions, despite dealing with the stress, despite saying, oh my God, I'm having such a hard time. I got 2 kids at home. We are back in the lockdown in Italy. What am I going to do? I can continue to grow my business, right? I can continue to serve my clients. I can continue to take action and not allow myself to get into these two spots of either feeling completely discouraged and wanting to hide under the cover, or, okay, I'm positive, let's go, it's beautiful, and then going and trying to sell that to people because there's a lot of shit going on. There's a lot of shit going on. We can't pretend that it's not. It doesn't help to pretend that it's not, right? How do you feel? I mean, that's what we were talking about the other day in self-development world. They call it spiritual bypassing. In the real world that I live in, it's like, don't get into your body, right? Just be in your head, in your thoughts, without really accessing this great tool that we have to ground ourselves. Because, you know, even if you say I'm meditating, not trying to feel less anxious, the more you try not to feel something, you feel it. right? So you have to go another way. You have to get out of the head and the thought and get more in your physical presence and begin to really address what's going on and how can I continue? You know, this is not, the COVID is not ending tomorrow morning. So the big question we have ahead of us is, do I choose to find the way to center myself, to go back to what I want, to go after it, to commit to it, to go back to serving, go back to whatever it is that I want to achieve in my life? Or do I just give up because I say, oh shit, you know, this year sucks, so then forget about it?
Right.
That's the big questions that I think I see people facing.
Right. And so for those of you who don't know Raquel and are very new to her, you know, and maybe you guys are following along here today on one of Raquel's platforms and you don't necessarily know me, something that I want you all to know is Raquel and I met a couple of years ago at Gabby Bernstein's masterclass training. And this also plays a part in why we're here today, because we've had the privilege to watch each other grow and evolve. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of you might be sitting there right now like, but I don't want to change. I'm super comfortable in this familiar place. And I would rather just sit here and do nothing because I'm afraid of what could happen if I do start to do this. And I don't want to be different. I don't want to be this different person. And something that Raquel so profoundly said to me the other day, and I mean, we've been keeping in contact with each other and we've been really watching and witnessing each other evolve. She said, Becca, I don't see a different Becca. I see more of you. I see more of you. Like, you're not a different person from when I first met you. I'm just seeing more of these pieces of you that have been hidden because of all of this toxic positivity, this toxic, you know, norms that we're talking about, and how I was just playing small. You know, and I was keeping myself under the covers, like you said, Raquel, because I was afraid of what would happen if I would start talking about these things or if I would start making the changes, when in fact, you know, there's this freedom that comes when you just say, okay, I admit that this is how I'm behaving right now. I acknowledge that this is where I don't want to be. That, I think, is the hardest and the scariest part. But then what we're talking about today is we want to be able to give you guys these tools so that it's not so scary to transition from, I say this all the time, like, I want to help people get from where they are to where they want to be, not where I want you to be, not where your mother-in-law wants you to be, not where your partner wants you to be. And sometimes just honing in on what you want to do and what to be is the hardest part. So I think that this is like a beautiful segue, Raquel. Can you please tell the angel and the stone story that's in the first chapter of your book?
Yeah, so in the first chapter of my book, and the whole concept behind the work I do, because I do teach confidence. And a lot of women come to me and say, I'm insecure. And I tell them, no, you are not insecure. You were not born insecure. Insecurities, okay? The feeling, the thought that we have about our bodies are things that we learned about ourselves throughout the years. Every child. Now, I know if you're in my group, a lot of you are moms. I know in Becca's group, a lot of you are moms. We are both mothers. When you look at your baby, and your baby's like an infant or a little kid, they love everything. There's not such a thing as a baby born insecure. There is no little baby girl who stresses about the other baby girls start eating before me. The other baby girl potty train a year before me. They don't care because they're so secure in who they are. For them, that present, that truth, that's the freedom I'm talking about, right? And I think what's happening a lot with us is that we begin to acquire this insecurity and recognize ourselves in those insecurities and attach to them and attach to that story that says, oh, I am this girl who feels insecure. I am this girl who's shy. I am this girl with all these things. But those are just behavior, most of the time defense mechanisms. And our true, confident, fit, free, best self, right? Our true best self is not something you need to achieve. It's not someone you need to become. It's someone you need to return to. So I give this example in my meditations, and I have this meditation series and in my book that is something that Michelangelo used to say, the sculptor. He used to say that he saw the angel in the stone. in the marble. And what the artist had to do is chop away the layer so that he could set her free. In other words, he wasn't trying to create that beautiful, stone figure. It wasn't. It was already there. And I think the biggest challenge with women today is to recognize that it's already there. Because the thought that your powerful self is not where you are now makes you feel a little bit comfy and safe. Like, oh, if she's not here, well, she's all the way there, years of work, then I'll get there eventually. But if you acknowledge that it's there, go. Then you gotta go to work. You gotta get to work. You got to connect with her. And there is so much what I see in this shift in you that I say I see more you, is because if you look at your life from the time, just generally what happened to your private life and your personal life and your business shifts from the first time we met to today, it's very different, right? But your vibe, like your essence, is just you, but more free to be you, more free to express yourself. And there's this idea that many times we think, oh, if I free myself, if I go for that thing, if I become more self-expressed, if I get in touch with my sensuality, sexuality, confidence, whatever it is, then, oh, these other bad things are going to happen and I'm comfortable in my life. First of all, it doesn't have to be, right? Just because someone opens up to certain things and makes certain decision, your experience, it's individual. This is an individual path, a journey that cannot be compared to another person. But above all, I really believe that life doesn't give us anything we are not willing to or ready to experience. And ultimately, it is about getting to that place of more freedom, getting underneath those layers, right? And what you find, it's really the freedom of saying it's not so much of what I'm doing, it's why I'm doing it. Because you can go ahead and, work on releasing physical weight, which is in my program is very much connected to the emotional weight we carry, right? That's why I say releasing rather than losing. It's something like wearing a heavy coat of burden throughout the years and decades that we put on, and we are releasing it because it doesn't belong to us. But even in your experience, or what you're telling me with all these new things that you're doing, it's about getting, underneath those cover, opening up those cover and allowing you to just be for you, not to be more of the sexy woman, not to be more of the pleasing woman, for you. We become us, and the better it is. I said something like that to a client of mine. I said, let's stop being our best. Let's stop trying to be our best, and let's start trying to be our most.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this idea, like, just do your best, just do your best. But who says it's the best? Maybe my best today could be to go and work other 20 minutes, but I want to honor myself. And I feel like I need a massage because I can't move my neck. So what is my best?
Right.
What the hell is my best? Who said those things, right?
Yeah. Like according to who? And that's the other thing that, so I am so excited because I've got my copy and it's so beautiful. But what I love about what both of us are doing or trying to do, right, with the people who are in our communities is just being this support system and resource to help people get out of that, what I call this prison of becoming. And if you guys do follow me, I love Jim Carrey, and a lot of us know Jim Carrey as a comedian and an actor, but he's actually an amazing, incredible artist. And when I was in Lake Tahoe last year, the year before, whatever, I got to see one of his paintings, and it was called The Prison of Becoming. And it's basically showing a hand reaching outside of a cell with a butterfly landing on the hand. And it says, and in that moment, he was freed from the prison of becoming. And it's all about exactly what Raquel just said. We get caught up in this place, right, where we are just in this prison, and when I looked at it, I'm like, I put myself in I incarcerated myself. I put myself in the prison. I locked myself in, and I threw the key as far away as possible so I couldn't reach it. And there's just no way for me to get out of this because I'm never going to be enough. I'm never going to have what I want. I'm never going to be happy. And until I do this or until I do that, I mean, how many of you watching right now, you're like, well, when I lose 10 pounds, then I'll get a tattoo. Or, you know, whenever I can run a 5K, I'll buy myself this. Or when I leave this job or get this promotion, then I can. You're right there in that prison of becoming. And what Raquel does in the book, which I think is really cool, is it's like you make it unique to you, because every section, every chapter has this support work where you literally have the opportunity to do. Everyone who does this is going to do something different, right? But it's like this similar process, this similar framework, but you're able to take what she's telling you and make it your own, which is something that a lot of people aren't doing right now. We're seeing a lot of this, like, do my program and get this result, or this cookie cutter, like, I want you to be just like me, or if you want to be just like me, do these things. And I love that we both respect that everyone's journey, and I hate to even, like, you know, say journey because it's so overused, but everyone's path is so different. And when we can realize that it's uniquely beautiful for ourselves and own, like, this is my life. Like, no one gets to have the day that I just had. Like, this is me, and fully own it and embrace it. Like, there is a freedom to that, because now you're like, I don't have to report to anybody. I don't have to do what anybody says. I can just wake up in the morning and do what I know works for me. And if today it's lay on my couch all day long,
well, there are like some universal principle where you want to have your energy up, or you know, there is a balance there. There is a balance because some of us have been trapped in certain habits for so long that we really need to have a shift, right? We need to up level, to elevate a little bit of who we are and gain that awareness. But the biggest problem that I see in the industry right now is this idea of mindset work. And great, do the mindset work, but the mindset work alone will not work. You actually need to do the work. You know how you have this thing like, oh, I just had a breakthrough. You know, people come out and say, I just had this breakthrough. I'm like, great, that's when it begins. Like, the breakthrough is no arrival point. When you go and you take a workshop, you buy a course, and you find out something about yourself, it's like, okay, good, that's where we start, right? It's this onion, these layers that are coming out one after the other to reveal what's next. But ultimately, we buy into this idea that we need to get somewhere, right? So there is a gap. We say, like, closing the gap. I'm here, I want to be there. And the truth is, what I'd like to invite people to see is that I'm already there. I just need to undo. So it's not about learning something that you don't know. It's about reconnecting to the truth. It's about letting go of the things that are hiding you, right? And I think that's been the biggest shift. When we first met, and we met at the Spirit Junkies event, I was in a place where I was looking for solutions. I was looking for somebody to give me a 1, 2, 3 step path to get somewhere.
Right.
And I thought that was the only way. So when people told me about, oh, the process and trust the process, I'm like, bullshit. You know, that gave me anxiety. Just I'm like, I'm the girl who runs the marathon. You know what I mean? I come from that. Like, I'll force myself into that. But what I didn't understand that the trusting didn't mean sit on your ass on a meditation pillow to expect for things to happen. It does mean take action. It does mean show up. It does mean be brave, but be brave to choose you first. So to allow those things that you want, right? Whether you want a better relationship, a better body, a more fit body, more friends, a successful career, a better home, whatever it is, allow those things to become the natural byproducts of choosing yourself, rather than the conditions to say, oh, now I got those things. I have the husband, I have the kids, I get the body, and now I should feel good, right? I should be happy about myself. The worth, the connection happens in this moment. And if you're watching this video, I'm saying this moment right here, when I'm like right next to Becca in this funny new setting on this thing that is cracking me up. Guys, it's so cool. But you know, it's in this moment. This moment you have an opportunity to make a choice. Every moment counts. We can be back tomorrow wearing the same outfits at the same time with the same banners playing around. And
Right.
still it would not be this moment. This is your chance to say, holy shit, this moment has power. I can actually make a choice to transform that body, or transform my life, transform my circumstances, step more into who I want to be a woman without waiting to tomorrow. I can do it now, but it comes from that first choice. And then all the rest is just the natural consequences, right? The natural consequences of embodying that truth. I think that's what's so different that I see in you, by the way. It's this embodiment of your truth is not like you coming in trying to, you know, prove that you deserve to be there. It's you knowing that you're there. Is you knowing why you're there.
Yeah.
Is you knowing what it feels like to be there. And you deeply desiring other women to experience that same level of freedom. Is you being in it still, because still a lot of the things that happen to you are still very fresh, but not saying, oh, let me fix all that and then I show up. It's you showing up in that truth. That is ultimate confidence. Confidence is the ability to show up in your truth without allowing the imperfections to come, you know, on the way. And I used to be big on perfectionism. It was never the right time for me to do a video, to do like, even now, if I go and I connect with a part of me, I could find like 100 things right now in this moment to say why I should not be here right now, right? I could pick on my accent, I could pick on my hair, I could pick on my outfit, I could pick on the background, like forget it. I could pick on the flow of my words, I could pick on how many people are showing up to this live or not, and why am I not seeing the freaking messages that should be coming here? I mean, it could go on, girl, it could go on, but ultimately it's about saying, stop, shut up, like, where am I, right? I get to come first. My message get to come first before the doubt, before the fear, and before the very desire and outcome I want to achieve. And when that happens, the weight drops. Because you no longer need to protect yourself. And the extra weight we have on our bodies, something like the same animals do in the winter, it's a protection. It's that layer of protection. When you choose yourself, you do not need a layer of protection anymore. It comes off. It is released, not lost, released. When that happens, you can get in touch with your sensuality, which Becca's going to tell me everything about the eggs and the wand. And I'm just like, I'm going to get red in my face and start laughing like a 4-year-old, but don't pay attention to me because the whole thing is just like, I have a lot of questions about it. But, you know, that's where you like, when you put yourself and say, I want to get connected to my body, then you get an opportunity to come across things that help you connect it, right? And practices and practitioners and teachers that will help you do that. When you choose yourself, you get to attract different clients. I mean, not negotiate your prices, get paid for your talents with ease, because shit, you know you're worthy. You not in a cocky way, but in a good way. And you don't want to compromise that because you don't want your people to compromise that. Right? You don't want your people to compromise that. You want them to stand in their truth and in their power. And you want to set an example for that. So it's all about choosing you, right? And a lot of other choices that I share in the book, but allowing those other things to show up in your life according to a specific process, according also to the science that I share. Because, you know, the first section of the book, the first 4 chapters are all about undoing. And then there's a mid section that helps you witness that space you have created. And then it's about rebuilding with the neuroscience behind it to help you restore your body self-regulating abilities, release weight, and all those cool things. But really, it all starts with choosing yourself. It's all about choosing yourself. So I hope that however and whatever that means to you, that self, that it's greater than those insecurities, that those problems, that the circumstances, even the circumstances we're living right now, that self that exists beyond the pandemic.
Yeah. And like, just to follow up on that, and I see that we do have a comment coming through, someone saying that, you know, we're speaking to them and remembering that the person that they want to be is actually already there, and we just have to free them. The other thing that I want to just make note of, and if you can't already tell how phenomenal Raquel is and how much work and research and effort and experience she has with this, sometimes you don't even know what's working for you while it's working for you. So I gave the example the other day in my private Facebook group about, brushing your teeth, for example, like generally speaking, we all brush our teeth several times a day, and we're doing this every day, and we're showing up every day and we're brushing our teeth, right? And it's just something that we do. For me, looking back, that was what my yoni egg practice was for me. It was something that I was just doing for myself. I wasn't making a big deal out of it. I wasn't sharing it with people. It was just something like brushing my teeth that I did. But looking back, over the past 5 years, the only two things that remained constant were my faith and my yoni egg practice.
But how did you come across it? Like, I never asked you this, but how you just woke up in one morning and said, I need to buy eggs?
No. Okay. So
how does that happen? Because I have you, and she said, like, I have these eggs. I'm like, what are the eggs? How did it happen to you? Because you didn't have that, right?
Yeah. So
how did you find out?
Well, I went to a yoga class, which I'm not much of a yoga person, honestly, and I definitely wasn't 5 years ago, but I found myself in this yoga class with an amazing instructor who was reading to us and talking with us and educating us as we were practicing. And she had eggs there, and it was like a sacral chakra class. And I didn't even know what chakras were back then. And she was just talking about how these eggs could really help us release, you're talking about releasing weight, right? Mm-hmm. Releasing trauma, stored energy, stored emotions from our sacral chakra, which is the womb space. And especially for women, think about our body, like just the anatomy, right? We've got this big open space, like right here, and energetically, that's a space for things to enter. And if we're not cleansing it, removing it, acknowledging it, not only are we going to have that heaviness energetically, but a lot of women experience additional weight, and people will talk about that, right? Having that like winter coat, that protection there, protecting the womb. And there's a lot more to it than just women being crazy and thinking that's what's happening. We don't always have to have the scientific proof. And that's also what I'm doing with my podcast is, can't we just let women's experiences or people's experiences be enough evidence? Can't that just be how we find credibility? Why does it always have to come from a medical journal or a doctor or whatever? Can it be that just because I'm a mother and experienced it, that it's real? And we're living in a world now where, like we said, everything's so uncertain and everyone's questioning everyone. But so I originally found the egg that way, and I was thinking, wow, I am going through a lot. Maybe I'll give this egg a shot. And really connected with it from a spiritual standpoint, because I wanted to see what would happen if I connected with my body in a way that I never had before. And especially in the States, a lot of this is very, risque and taboo. And, children, like from a young age, were basically told to not talk about that and not touch that. And when you're teaching somebody and conditioning somebody that those parts are off limits, you're doing a huge, it's really messing people up, because you're basically telling somebody you can't touch your own body. Like, you're not allowed, you're going to go to hell for that, or that's bad, or that's dirty. And it's just not, it's not the case. My 3-year-old daughter knows what her yoni is and knows where it is. And we need to feel comfortable exploring our bodies, not just from a sexual, pornographic, perverted standpoint, but similar to what you're talking about, and this is why I love how our work intersects. It's not about necessarily the result. Like, I'm doing this because I have to, or I'm doing this to get to this point. It's, I want to connect with myself in this moment. I want to feel myself breathe. I want to be in my body. And when I'm in my body, I can really be Becca. Like, I can really be me. I can really tune into the desires in my heart and the thoughts in my head. And I really begin to see where I begin and end and where these other people start. Because a lot of the anxiety and issues I was having was because I was trying to live up to everybody else's expectations and putting everything that I wanted back in a closet somewhere, so this sense of power that can come from this connection with your body and freeing your body from these like layers of, I have to do this, I have to do that, and as long as I do those things, I'm going to be okay. It actually doesn't exist. Like it's an illusion, because none of those things really do matter if what's happening in your body is a train wreck every day, and I know a lot of my girls at the village, this is what we talk about at the meetings, and the men who join us, we don't openly talk about things, and we keep things in our head because of the shame and because of the, like, what if this person hears me say this and thinks that I'm crazy, or, I could never leave my job or leave my relationship. I could never be a mother, I could never do this. And it's really as a result of all this pressure coming from the outside. So, the eggs also have, physical benefits, pelvic floor health and things like that. But I really want, and you can use them, sexually and all of this stuff. But I really want to teach people how to have a relationship with themselves through the yoni practice, which if you see this banner, Raquel just popped up. I'm starting a 6-week yoni program because it's not something, like you said, the pandemic's not going to end tomorrow. Your yoni practice isn't going to fix everything in 30 minutes. We have to really establish how we're going to use this egg uniquely to you so that you can monitor your progress over these 6 weeks together.
I think what's most interesting to me about the whole practice that you're describing is that idea to use it as this tool to reconnect with yourself. So this idea of exploring the body, right? Of going back in the body. And the important thing is, why do you want to go back in the body, right? That's what I think people are not really getting. They're not really getting that we think we are here, present to our life, but we are not. That we're mostly live in this automated, autopilot, pre-programmed situation, and then being in our body is where actually things starts happening. So if you have the tendency of, say, emotional eating, right, or if you have the tendency of getting in an argument, you have tendency of not being able to deal with your children, of not taking the action or not completing what you start in your business. Like I deal with a lot of clients that start something but then have a hard time completing it or get to the point of receiving. It's because there is a disconnect there. Right? There is a disconnect. There is a desire to be somewhere, but a lack of presence in the moment with that. There is a lack of alignment, and that's what I call like alignment. To me is an agreement. It's an alliance that we need to build with ourselves, and we cannot do that if we are not in here. Like, really think about it, right? How can I show up if I'm not in my own vessel? Let's even take the spiritual idea that the body is this vessel and we're a spiritual being having this human experience. How can we have that experience if we're not in here?
Right.
We're not grounded, connected with our body. How do we connect? Through our senses, right? Through aroma, senses, aromas, taste, touch. Those are things that help us connect in the moment, because it's just so easy to get spaced out. You know what happens to me all the time? I had to unfollow J-Lo and Beyonce because I don't know. Sometimes I would just like start looking at Beyonce. Before I know, it's like 45 minutes. I'm looking at their videos one after the other. My gosh, and then I don't even know I'm gone, right? I'm not in my body. I mean, like, oh, I'm entertained. I get it, but I'm almost hypnotized. And now I'm giving you this example of watching a hot woman on IG. But this happens with everything. It happens with comparing ourselves. It happens when we start reading our email. It happens when we start online shopping. It happens all the time. So the time is clicking, right? And there's this urgency of showing up. And that's the one thing I really care about the most. to tell women is that I know we don't want to think about the idea that we are here in this dimension of life for a limited time. We like to think that, you know, we're going to be here forever and connect to that, but we are not. The clock is ticking and the world needs you now. Your life needs you now. Your family needs you now. Your ideas need you now. Your desire needs you now. So if you postpone it, if you wait, if you don't do something to get in your body that would allow you to show up in the now, then you're really losing an opportunity to go big and to do it, right?
Yeah. And so I want to share too. And of course, like if you guys do decide to get Raquel's book, you'll see all of this and more. But I love you talking about the Cinderella story. And I think that this is like kind of where you're going. So, I mean, we are all familiar with Cinderella, and Raquel tells in the book how she was helping, you know, her parents clean out everything, you know, just going through old stuff. And she comes across her copy of the Cinderella story. So she brings it up, and she's got a couple little ones, boys, and she's so excited. She sits down in bed. She's like, I'm going to read this book. This is going to be awesome. The boys like pick up Transformers and just completely ignore her, right? So she sits and reads Cinderella out loud to herself. And think about it, guys, like we're growing up with these Disney princesses, and it's such a beautiful story. And, you know, she is raised in this place where she's not being treated fairly. And if she could just have this one shot, like this one thing that's going to change her life, this one big break, you know, then everything's going to be fine. And so she meets the prince, you know, blah, blah, blah. We all know the story. But as she read it as an adult, she was like, what the hell is this?
I was so disappointed because I really loved that book. Like I knew that book by heart, and it was all like, you know, hand painted on top of it. It was so disappointing. So I love Cinderella.
So this perspective shift, right, of like going through this life where I think all of us are like, my day will come, you know, like speaking to the longevity, you know, that you're talking about. It's like my day will come one day when, you know, or we're using toxic positivity saying like, well, everything's fine right now. It's okay. Like next week it'll be better. Or after the pandemic's over, we can do this, you know, and then the toxic normalizing where we're just like, well, considering my circumstances, it's okay that I've been depressed for 6 months, or considering my history and my family, it's okay that I'm overweight or not able to do this or not able to do that. You're just normalizing whatever scenario you're in. Or, you know, who am I to be upset about this because other people have it worse than me? So she started seeing Cinderella as this woman who lacked confidence, who lacked a voice, who was scared to death to speak up for herself, who was like, I think you said, like living on a dirty mattress with friendly wrath or whatever.
Whatever, you know, if you exactly separated yourself from the story that you love, right? Like, what does it really tell? It tells the story that young girls needs to be pretty quiet. They should not speak up. They should not stand up. They should wait for a man to come and save them one day. And when the man comes and save them, then that's it. They will not get miscarriages. They will not get adult acne. They will not get IS, you know, whatever. They will not have migraines. They will not have a child that acts out like my kids. I mean, come on. Like, so you think that actually that's going to happen something in your life and then that's it, everything is good? No, even if you do get that marriage, even if you do get that kids, then other challenges will show up. So it's really about like getting in the practice of choosing yourself quickly and bouncing back quickly, because nothing that you think right now, nothing that right now you believe like, oh, if I only had that,
right?
If I only was 15 pounds lighter, if I only had whatever, then I would feel those things. It's more like the other way around. Mm-hmm. If I feel those things, if I choose myself, if I embody how I want to feel, then I can attract those things in my life and even more, right? Even more. Because that's really what happens. Sometimes we really think that's something that we want, and turns out there's something far greater that it's available to us.
Yeah, and I think that that's what we want to be able to give everyone who's watching today, are actual tools and ways of doing it. And not just one thing is going to work for everybody, but sometimes, you know, I will attend talks or watch things like this and I'm super pumped up and hyped up. But then I leave and I'm like, like now what? Like now what do I do? And not that we're saying that what we're doing is 100% going to be the end all, because it's a particular piece of your process and what you're going to end up letting work for you. But I can say, and I think that this is where I was trying to go earlier, was, you know, these are things that Raquel and I have been using for years. You know, this isn't something that's just something that we find super trendy. You know, like these are our practices, tried and true, not only with ourselves, but, you know, I would say at this point, thousands of women, you know, all over the world, not just people that Raquel has worked with, but people that Rosie Reese, who I have been learning from and following and getting my yoni products from. You know, these are things that have been helping women everywhere do one fundamental thing, which is getting back into the body to connect with the body so that you can free yourself from all of this extra garbage and pressure and expectation that you're putting on yourself, so you can just live the life you want to live. And instead of being in this place where you're like, when I get there, when I get here, you can just sit in stillness and say, I know that this is what I want because I took the time to sit down with myself and I took the time to feel into my body of how that really does feel to me. And this is what I'm going to do. And no one can stop me. Like nobody is getting in the way of what's coming next. And that comes after dedication and commitment and you taking yourself seriously, right?
Absolutely. And it's not that, this is not to say that you should not desire to have those things in your life, right? I'm not saying that you should not desire to be, if you really want to be lighter in your body, it's possible, it's doable. You don't have to compromise. It's not that, oh, I can either be this like super conscious woman or I can be this super fit woman. There's nothing like that. You can actually get what you want. It's just about shifting the approach, right? Because you do not have to renounce your desires, whatever those desires are, unless you realize along the way that what you really want is something else, which that's another story, right? That's another story there. But you do have the tools. In fact, I'm going to share this thing right now. If you go on freeyourbodybook/now, you do get 2 special gifts when you sign up. You'll be notified is November 17th, and you'll get 2 gifts. One is a body success meditation, which is a meditation to reprogram your brain for releasing weight with ease. And the other one is a little ebook called the 11 Secrets the Diet Industry Doesn't Want You to Know, which is really cool. So you can get those today by going into freeyourbodybook.com/now, right? And tell us about, I'm going to put up this link for Becca as well. Find out about our yoni products. Yeah. I have one myself. I just don't know the color. And I would have it, I would pick the color based on color, nothing else. I'm like, I really like the green. You know? Yeah. So, that's what you want, Raquel. I pick wine. It drives my husband crazy, but I pick wine based on the, you know, on the color, on the design on the bottle. Right. I don't even read what it is. I love you. I love you. Yeah. So if you're interested in this yoni program, you can go to my website, which is listed here. And listen, this wasn't actually something that I was going to do, but it's what I really felt led to do as a result of all of you guys coming to me with these additional questions. My first order has gotten in. So if you did order from me, expect to have your stuff probably within, I'm going to say like the next week. But again, I don't, you know, I see you showing up and really wanting to do this and make this practice work for you. And I don't want you to be investing in these gorgeous, so here's a wand. Oh, there goes an egg. Oh my God. Like, see, now it's turning red. Thank God there's a light showing. I can't believe she just showed that. Yeah, so this is one of the wands. Oh, wait. These are scary to me, dude. Like, I mean. And this is an egg. Black, it's more approachable. That thing. That thing is really scary to me. So, and that's why I want to do this program, because there is a fear behind
there's just a fear, right? Because for so long, so many of us are told, like, don't touch that, don't do that. You can't be exploring your body in these ways. And I want to make sure that if you're showing up for yourself and committing to purchasing the product, that I can support you on this journey, that whatever it is that you want it to be. So I do have a lot of free content available for people who are like maybe just interested in learning more about it. So Raquel, I'll have to personally send that to you so you have it.
I can't start with the eggs. I cannot. Like, the other thing is just a little scary. But give me a month. Give me a month. I will.
You'll change your mind.
Because just like, I think it's too funny to me. I don't know why it's so funny to me. She said, "Oh, I'm gonna be." She call it. What do you call it?
A crystal wand.
A wand. It looks kind of like a shoe. It kind of look like a shoe with a heel, sort of. Yeah. Ladies, I'm not as progressive. But I am open to uncover and find out a very progressive Raquel, who apparently, according to what I teach, is there somewhere. I just need to access it and uncover it.
Right? It's totally there, And again, I want to just say that, none of this is about, like Raquel said, none of this should be because you feel like you have to do it, that this is the only way, that this is the thing that you have to do to get you to where you want to be. This should be all a really playful part of you experiencing yourself now. That's really what we want you guys to go home with today, is that girl that you want to be, that woman you want to be, that mother you want to be, the partner you want to be. She's there. You just have to let her out. You have to let her out, and you start by doing things that you believe in, by doing things that you love. And every woman that I've worked with up to this point, whether it was a menstrual cup or a yoni egg or a wand, there is that fear. But Raquel, the fear that I'm identifying is not the fear of the product, but the fear of feeling worthy of experiencing the pleasure and the satisfaction internally, instead of doing what, you and I were on a conversation last week, and what you're trying to, you use the analogy of, you're armed with all of this stuff. Like, if you imagine like opening this cloak and having like all of these weapons at your disposal, we have all of that within us, but a lot of us are like frantically finding the nearest place to go, get a tool and looking for what we need, when actually, if we would just open up and settle in, we realize it's all there, and we're just looking everywhere for it. So I definitely don't want anybody thinking, coming with that energy to either one of these practices, because I can guarantee you, in that sense, nothing is going to work. It's when you come from this, why are you doing it? Do you desire to? It's
really why you're doing it. Because if you're trying to lose weight so that you can feel good enough, it's not going to happen. If you are decided to release whatever is covering you up, or whatever you feel like it's not yours and it's covering you, your body, your frame, whatever it is, it's a whole different approach. There is a whole different need there, because it's essential to really be connected to that self-worth. It's essential to start from there. Otherwise, it will only be temporary. There is no permanent result. There is no massive transformation. There is no 360 degrees of expansion unless you start coming from that place of honoring yourself, honoring who you are, and doing whatever it is that you're doing for that. I say that with food. I could have a glass of wine, okay, to escape from my day or to enrich my day. And the reason why I will have that glass of wine will impact the way that I digest, process, break down, and absorb the calories of that wine. You get it? So that same caloric intake in that liquid of wine will have a whole different impact according to the reason why I do it, because my body will experience it the same, because there is a mind and body connection, which is now scientifically proven, that impacts that way. The same is with your sensual experience, anything, right? It's why you do it, not just doing it. If you're buying this product that's Becca is selling to say, oh, so I could be sexier for so-and-so, or so I could say I can have X amount of orgasm, or whatever it is that those things will allow me to do that I don't know. it's limited there. It's not like, oh, I want to enrich my life experience and everything that life experience means. So I want to expand my business. I want to make more money so that I can live a richer life, right? All those things, the why, the why, the why.
Yeah. And to that point, before we head out, I'm not saying that women out there who are looking for a stronger pelvic floor, greater like heightened sexual sensitivity, if you're experiencing low libido or not, a lot of that stuff, or not orgasming as often or as well, or you're thinking you're having orgasms and you're probably actually not, or you're quote unquote faking it, how we say, a lot of that happens because of the tension and the energy that we hold, and we're not fully expressing ourselves and freeing ourselves to feel good about that. When you can satisfy yourself, imagine that heightened experience with a partner. And we're also not saying too, Raquel, what's your tagline? Like, side effects of working with Raquel might include
side effects may include, like, there is a joke. I don't know if my book editor is watching, Jana is watching, but there's something that you girls should know. I'm not saying that my book will get women pregnant, but every woman who worked on the book got pregnant while doing the book.
Gosh.
Every single one, to the point that there was another editor that we got in the end, and she was a proofreader, and Jana was like, she called me, is like, you don't believe this, she just got pregnant. And I was just like, okay. Like, every single woman, I work with women who worked with the content of the book for months, because actually the editing process turned out being very, very long, end up getting pregnant.
That's wild.
And a lot of my clients too. So I don't know, you may want to be careful while you're reading this, girls.
Yeah. And she also says that, what do you say? Side effects of working
Side
with
effects may include feeling confident, tight butt, and what was it? Tight butt.
A tight ass, a smaller waist, and a more successful business.
That's it. Like, side effect of choosing yourself.
Yeah.
Will include tighter ass, smaller waist, and a more successful business. So I think it's
I love it.
Good, right?
I think those are all great things that many people
side effects, not goals. Side effects.
Byproducts. There's a difference.
Yes. All right, my love.
I love it. This was perfect. So just to kind of sign off here, thank you guys so much for tuning into this. Like Raquel mentioned at the beginning, we're really hoping to turn this into a series. So if any of you watching have something specifically that you want to chat about or want us to, bring to the table, please let us know, and make sure you go over to Free Your Body Book /now. Somebody said that there might have been a problem with it, but I just tested it myself and it worked just fine. So you'll see the free gifts. If you still can't access it though, contact Raquel or myself directly and we'll get you guys that stuff, because you definitely want to have that.
Yes, and let us know what our goal is to bring real talk, real conversation. So if next time you want to jump up and join us live and be coached live by the both of us, we are down. We want to serve women. We want to give you value. And we want you to know that you are one choice away from experiencing your life completely different. And all you have to do is get in here, right? Get in the body.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Perfect. Thank you, Raquel, so much.
Thank you for coming to this broadcast. I just can't get over it, you guys. I'm going to be totally real with you. I got a team that it's an awesome team at NGNG Enterprises, and they're real shot, world-class at everything. And they have these live streaming things, and they hooked me up with this program, and it's the first one for me. So I need to get used to this very professional environment, but I will. And you will see a lot more of this.
Yeah. I love you. Thank you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.